Hello my friends, and welcome back to another Brotato Ultimate Nightmares run, where we play the characters that are hardest to beat on the new Nightmare mode, as chosen by you, and try to win with them. Hope you're all doing well. Today we're playing the Farmer, which is a character I've been asked about a fair amount. This character is tough on Nightmare mode, especially on full projectile mode, because you have to stay full health all the time in order to use your harvesting, which makes the movement on this character pretty difficult. So I'm going to jump in and show you the easiest ways to win with the Farmer. I think there are a couple different strategies you can use, 3 different builds that are sort of natural for the Farmer. You can use Pruner and try to stack up your harvesting as much as possible using your passive. You can use Sickle and you'll have a lower economy, but your extra harvesting growth will translate directly to damage, which will make the movement a little easier because you'll be killing stuff more frequently. Or you can use Loot and kind of split the difference between those 2 weapons, though I've generally found Loot to be a little hard to make work in Nightmare mode, so personally I would recommend one of the other 2, but all 3 of those are viable starts. I'm going to go with Pruners here, both because I think that it is the sort of natural pick for the Farmer and also the most fun and thematic. But if this doesn't work, I might try with Sickles instead. We want to pick up consumables while we're at full health when we're playing the Farmer, and we want to do it during the wave so that we get the harvesting immediately. By picking up those, we had increased our harvesting by 2, so we got 2 more money at the end of the wave. I'm going to roll here. I'm looking for harvesting, and we'll take 5 harvesting, and then we're going to go ahead and just ban Sharp Bullet. We're not interested in that. We'll re-roll looking for Pruners. Both of these are fine, I think, to leave in the pool. We will lock Tree and Fertilizer and roll again, and we'll buy a Pruner and roll again and buy a Pruner. And then, so here's an interesting spot. We could roll. I wouldn't be able to buy another Pruner if I rolled into one. So what I'm going to do here is just buy this hand. We get 8 more harvesting immediately, because we have the +3 from the hand and +5 from the support weapon tag, and we'll just sell this as soon as we get into the next wave. So we're basically doing a small investment by buying the hand in increasing our harvesting. Because we're going to sell it immediately, it won't cost us potential looks at Pruners, or at least not more than a couple, by making hands and unarmed weapons more likely to appear in the first shop. And so we've basically just bought a little bit of permanent harvesting by doing that. I'm going to roll here, and we'll take 5 harvesting, and then we're very happy to grab 6 max HP. So we did see a hand and an unarmed weapon instead of Pruners, which is a little rough, but we'll just go ahead and recycle and re-roll, re-roll, re-roll. Getting a little unlucky finding Pruners. I really wanted to get 6 here, and that would have been significantly better, but we are able to at least lock 2 more, so that's pretty nice. We have this full shop locked here. You don't want to buy non-Pruner weapons mostly on this character because it's so important that we stack up our harvesting really quickly by picking up consumables. So that's why we sold the hand immediately. It was just an investment in increasing our harvesting, so we made a little more money last wave, even if we, had to spend some money to do it. But more importantly, we had increased our harvesting permanently by having higher harvesting growth last wave. I should have gone for the tree earlier, and I've gotten more harvesting, so a little bit of a mistake there. Luck is really nice for the Farmer because it means more consumable drops, of course, but I'm just going to take 2 melee damage. If you can't kill stuff, then obviously you can't survive, so you do still need to focus on your damage a bit on this character. I'll take 1 more harvesting upgrade, and then we're going to start focusing on defensive stats at this point. We will buy Pruner. You can never buy Alien Worm on a garden build, obviously. And we'll recycle Baby Elephant as well, because it's bad. We'll buy Shady Potion and Lost Duck, and then we're not interested in Scared Sausage. I will re-roll here to try to lock another Pruner. We want to level these up, of course, because it's both their damage and crit chance increases, so leveling Pruners is really important, because at low levels, you get really bad damage scaling with them, but at high levels, their damage scaling is fine. And then also, of course, more consumable drops, because the gardens become faster. I'm not that interested in building too much curse in this run. Farmer, you just want to focus on your economy. So we'll end up with curse because we're on the abyss. It's hard not to, but we're not going to go out of our way to build a lot of curse. We'll take the weird food here. Consumable healing, of course, is incredibly powerful on a garden build. That's going to keep us alive. I could take 6 movement speed, but let's just reroll. All right, well, I'll take 8 harvesting, and then I'm going to roll again, trying to get level 2 upgrades. I could start building dodge here. We'll probably want dodge eventually, but let's just take 2 melee damage. We'll buy these items. Gentle Alien is good for the character, mostly because it just gives you extra stats. The minus 50% materials dropped from enemies makes the extra enemies less valuable, and it does make it hard to stay at full health, but you still, I think, usually want to build it. We're not interested in Pencil. Baby Gecko, I don't really care about either. Material pickup is not important when you have minus 50% material drops. And then I will buy these items. Also, of course, we're banning level 1 items so that we can make consumable healing more likely to appear. That's the main thing we care about. Obviously, there's lots of great economy items at level 1, but one of the big things is that the consumable healing items are level 1, and so we want those to appear more frequently. Also, things like plant, just to stay at full health, are very nice to find as well. And again, it's more important that I stay at full health in order to trigger the harvesting growth than it is that I actually kill enemies. We'll take 3 regeneration here. We'll buy this whole shop, and then we will re-roll. We'll take Peaceful Bee. We do want pickup radius, because that's going to make sure that we pick up our consumables when we need them. Jerky is a really interesting item for this character. So there are incredible upsides, of course, because it makes your consumable healing vastly stronger and more reliable. The downside is that normally at the end of the wave, if you've taken damage, you pull in all the consumables, and any healing over your full health will start giving you harvesting. If you have Jerky, that's not true, because the healing will be over time, and so you're going to give up some harvesting at the end of every wave. We have 170 harvesting already. What we need is to turn our economy into survivability. So Jerky, I think, is still an excellent item on Farmer, even despite the downsides. You're sometimes going to see people say, don't take this. I think that that is incorrect. I will also spend 5 to look for another pruner while we still have a guaranteed weapon in the shop, and we were lucky enough to get one. The support weapon tag is pretty small, so you can often find additional pruners by rolling for them like that. I'm going to try to clear at least a few of these Firemane anemones, the enhanced anemone enemy, early, because they're really dangerous. They make it hard to stay at full health, since they put a lot of attacks on the field. We are giving up a little bit of harvesting every time I go after one, unfortunately, since we almost always take a hit from them, but it's better than taking many hits and staying at low health, or, of course, potentially dying. I will take 2 armor here. We definitely need more defensive stats. And here I'm going to take 6 melee damage because our killing power is starting to fall behind. We'll buy a Peaceful Bee, buy Pruner, buy Cauldron, and buy Jerky, and then we'll re-roll. And I do want to level my pruners. I will buy the Scar. I think I'm going to buy Scar over leveling the weapon here, because that'll help me get more defensive stats quickly before the most dangerous levels. What I'm thinking is, do I want the Ratzilla? This is a way to gain extra damage that doesn't involve killing things with our weapon. I probably would not take this on Crash Zone, because it would kill the summoners when we don't have control over it. But on the Abyss, it's kind of nice having these random damage sources if they're powerful enough. So I think I will take the Ratzilla here. I have 2 items locked, so I don't need to reroll, and we'll go to the next wave. Basically, the rat will give us a little extra killing power, which we're kind of struggling for, because of course our weapon is bad at dealing damage. And it will let me kill some enemies far away from myself, so things like the Stargazer towers. I'm going to focus on clearing the healers. We don't care that much about killing the walrus or the goblin shark, because there's not that much that we specifically need to kill on this wave. So we're just going to run away from the walrus mostly, and that'll help me stay at full health more. Pick up some consumables, and we were full health at the end of the wave, so the jerky didn't cost us any any harvesting there. We'll take 9 dodge, and then this is a great shop. I can buy this. We can combine and buy this. I will buy the rat, and I think I am taking the blood leech. Yes, it costs me some harvesting, which obviously we want, but what we really want is healing at this point. Broken Mouth is a great find that helps fix my max HP. I could take the injection. I do want some percent damage, but I think I'm going to wait on the injection for now. Saving my last 2 bands for free rerolls as well. 7% damage is good, but I don't want to lower my max HP right now, and injection is fine, but I think not worth locking there. Basically, I'm looking for attack speed, I'm looking for melee damage, I'm looking for defensive stats. I felt like I could kill the blobfish there. I could pick up the curse. Always gonna take that hit. But again, I think we're going to mostly try to avoid getting too much curse, so we'll just not kill the curse alien. Take gentle alien, we'll take 3 armor, that's great. I'm going to reroll this, and I'll just take 6 more max HP. That will help make sure that we're not getting one-tapped. We'll buy another pruner upgrade, and then we will reroll. We'll take a whetstone, some good healing there. Gonna reroll. I'll take a bonk dog on the same principle that we bought the rat on. And then I'm going to roll again. I would love to buy more harvesting, but I think we're actually going to pass on the wheelbarrow because lowering my armor is too dangerous at this point. Doc Moth can be interesting for this character. We want to stay at full health all the time. I will take Triangle of Power, mostly for the armor, but it gives us a bunch of percent damage as well. We probably will be losing damage in most waves on the Triangle of Power. We're going to take more than 10 hits in most waves, but it just gives us such an early economy spike, and it's going to help us stay full health for much longer, both by giving us armor and by helping clear the wave at the beginning, that I think it's worth buying anyways. I don't have any regeneration right now, so I think I will pass on the Doc Moth. It is good with our lifesteal, but without regen, that item loses a lot of its value because there's no guarantee that where the Doc Moth is where it will be easy to lifesteal from. So the Bonk Dog and the Rat did good work there. They took down the summoners for us. The Bonk Dog right now is killing that enhanced vampire squid. So I'm glad I picked up the pets. We're also, of course, no longer prioritizing grabbing consumables while we're full health that much. We're prioritizing picking up consumables when we need them to heal, since that's the main worry that we have on the character is simply dying. And because we prioritized our economy so heavily early, we were able to... we don't need more harvesting growth. So there we lost some... from our passive anyways. There we lost some harvesting growth from the jerky, but not a ton, and we have 300 harvesting, so it's fine. We'll take the attack speed here, and then I'm going to reroll, and I could take 6 melee damage to actually be able to kill stuff. I could build dodge, because we have 11 dodge. We could get to dodge cap fairly quickly. I think I'm gonna, or I could roll for armor. I think I'm just gonna take the damage here. We'll buy all of these items and then re-roll. Buy a pruner upgrade. Gummy Berserker keeps showing up and it's annoying me, so I'm just gonna ban it. And then we will, I think, buy a Scar and a Bonk Dog here. Losing out on the Garden this wave, of course, is bad, but the Scar, I think, is going to be better economy than the extra potential harvesting that we get from the Garden this wave. And I like having the second Bonk Dog for wave 10. It's going to help me keep enemies clear in the early stages of the wave, so that we can then make sure that we're not in danger later on, make sure that we can clear the hatchers before too many eggs spawn, and all of that stuff. This also, because it's wave 10, we're going to have the gang of walruses showing up at the end of the wave. A couple pretty important items that we haven't seen. Penguin is incredible, of course, for garden builds, and especially when combined with jerky, it means that you have a lot of just healing as you go. We don't have a good source of regen. We haven't seen a plant. We need more attack speed. Something like a coffee would have been a great find as well, of course. Just the normally strong level 1 items. Losing luck is bad, but we're going to take the mushroom here. I'll take 9 dodge. That gets me closer to dodge cap quickly. I'm going to take attack speed over regeneration, and then I'll buy a Scar and a Garden. We don't want to build ranged damage, so I'm not building the Catling gun. I will reroll. If the game keeps offering me all these Bonk Dogs, I think I will just keep taking them. And I'll buy Adrenaline, Bonk Dog, and I think we will take Riposte. We really need melee damage. This is an expensive way to get it, but it improves our Bonk Dogs moderately well. It improves our pruners moderately well. And we have 25 dodge, so the actual damage from the Riposte isn't nothing, even though it's typically going to be very low. This is another item that I think people overvalue because it looks like it's going to do a lot, but in practice, the amount of damage that Riposte does is very poor. So you should usually only buy it if you just want expensive melee damage, which sometimes you do, and in this case we did. Looks like we got some curse. I hadn't really noticed that happening, but like I said, it's the Abyss, so you're going to end up with curse. And it's less that I was actively desperate to avoid getting curse, and more that I didn't particularly care whether I had curse or not in this run. And early on, it's going to be a little more dangerous. Later on, our economy will be so strong and our character will be powerful enough that curse will just be an upside for us. I'm going to run in and grab some consumable healing here, because I was taking a few extra hits. Going to pick up a few, because maybe we get some harvesting if I've picked up some healing by the end of the wave, and we did. Metal detector, I don't really want to reduce my damage, but I do want luck. The chance to double materials is obviously bad on a minus 50% material drop character. I think I'm just going to recycle this. I really don't want to reduce my damage output at all. Extra stomach is amazing, of course. We're going to end up with plus 8 health every wave from that. I could take the plus 6 health here, but we just got the extra stomach, so I'm going to roll, and I'll take 15 luck. That's a solid healing item for us. We'll buy bag. Insanity works well with pruner, or moderately well, because as you level it, it does get ×2 crit chance. Fertilizer, I'll take. I'm going to roll here. We'll buy coffee. Tractor, I think I'm going to pass on. It's pretty expensive, and we are going into an elite wave. Now, I'm not going to be able to kill the elite. So, no, I think I will buy the tractor. It'll pay for itself so quickly. We'll take Fairy, and we'll take Blood Leech, even though it costs us harvesting. Recycling Machine, I'm not going to worry about. And then we're just going to run away from the elite this wave. Also, I want to pick up some consumables while we're at full health for the harvesting and for the extra stomach HP. And if I grab that early in the wave, then, you know, I have 8 more health during this wave, which is going to be fairly important, given that it's an elite wave. This is one of the elites that can be somewhat hard to not take hits from. So just having a little more max HP this wave is pretty useful. And looks like we've gotten our 8, because I picked one up and didn't get a +1. And we'll get that tree kill. Just running away from the elite, and maybe I could have killed the elite. We've actually done more damage to it than I was expecting to, because the bonk dogs were after it basically the whole wave, but much safer with a garden build just to run away from elites. Now, the wisdom will actually help quite a bit. This character will typically do damage fairly slowly, so wisdom is pretty powerful. We'll take 12% damage here, and then I could take 6 melee damage. I think I'm going to roll for armor or dodge, because we need the defensive stats. We'll take 3 armor. Fairy, obviously, an incredible find on any character. Since I have the fairy, I'm pretty happy just buying the candy bag as well. Even if I get a double elite wave, now that our regen is significantly higher, we should be fairly safe against that. We'll take another garden here. I'm going to spend 58 on 1 regen. Obviously, this is completely useless outside of the 1 regeneration, but once we've started building regeneration, we just want as much as we can get. Or, you know, regeneration stacks really well with itself. We're always going to be building regeneration, I should say. It's not a once we've started thing, but since we're always going to be building regeneration on this character, we want as much as we can possibly get, even if it's fairly expensive. And it does, to some extent, pay for itself, since every time we're at full health, we're making extra money, extra HP, and so on. I'd have bought the candy bag anyways, even if we didn't have Fairy, but Fairy made me very confident that we can survive double elite waves, so that makes candy bag even more attractive. But candy bag's stats are always so ridiculous that you almost always just want it. And we'll take the Peaceful Bee here, going to 30% dodge. That's pretty nice. I will lose dodge and regeneration and harvesting by buying the spider, and we don't get that much out of it, but the not much that we get is the stats that we care about, so I am still taking the spider here. And then I'll take 6 more dodge. I want to get to dodge cap quickly. I'll take 12% damage over the crit chance. I'll buy a fertilizer, re-roll past all of this. We'll take some melee damage. I'm going to buy the turret for the regen. We'll buy boxing glove for melee damage and regen. We can ban pumpkin and get a reroll. We'll buy coffee. Small fish is a lot more attractive when you get regeneration from it. And losing move speed and armor, very painful. But we're building dodge, so Ghost Outfit is pretty good here. And we already had 30 dodge, so going from 30 to 40 is a pretty big upgrade to our survivability. I will take the lure. We'll take butterfly for sure. On a horde wave, I feel like I can get away with Weird Ghost. We do have a lot of consumable healing, and we have a bunch of gardens, and we obviously have a lot of regeneration from Fairy. And 3 health and a regen is pretty powerful. We don't need the max health as much because we have extra stomach, but again, we just want to stack as much regen as we can get. The only scary thing about buying the Weird Ghost is if an elite spawn from the candy bag. But even then, we should just be able to run to the nearest garden and stay alive. Now that our weapons actually do a reasonable amount of damage per hit as well, you can see that the triangle of power is just all upside. We've only taken 1 hit so far this wave, I think. So we're just getting extra damage and armor from it the entire wave, and especially at the most important part of the wave. You can think of Triangle of Power as like a reverse wisdom. it gives you extra damage at the start, and then that'll slowly decrease over the course of the wave. But that's really good. The downside of Wisdom is it makes it harder to kill things when it really matters at the start, when you're trying to keep the wave clear. Whereas Triangle of Power does the reverse of that, which is what you want. I'll take the small magazine. 10% attack speed for -6 damage is great. We'll take the mastery. That's great as well. We'll take Goldfish here. I'm going to take 9 speed and get to positive move speed, and then I guess I'll take 9 crit chance over 10% attack speed. Honestly, it's closer than you might think, but the extra damage from the crit chance, I think, is worth it. And to buy this whole shop, we do have 13 crit chance, and then pruners have high base crit chance as you level them, so hunting trophy will be worth buying. Now, you don't necessarily need the hunting trophy there, because it is a long-term investment in our economy, which is kind of the opposite conceptually of what this character is looking for right now, but I think it's still fine. I'm going to take the exoskeleton. It does cost me regen and lifesteal, but obviously the other stats we really want. And then we'll keep upgrading our weapons. I will take wings as well to get a little more movement speed. Finally found another level 2 pruner. I'm not going to lock the riposte. It's fine, but as you can see, the amount of damage that it does is not significant. It's just about buying 2 melee damage, which we're no longer as desperate for. I'll reroll for 20 in case I get something that can help this wave, and we got Gentle Alien for a little more health and damage. So I need to be pretty careful this wave, of course, because there might be an elite. And with Weird Ghost, Jerky does have a small downside in that you're not going to get a spike of healing from your consumable healing. As in, the downside of Jerky is almost never real. I think people are way more scared of healing over time than they should be. Healing over time is almost always way better than healing instantly, because you get a lot more total healing, and usually at more relevant times. But there are a couple cases where healing over time is worse, and one of them is obviously at the start of the wave with Weird Ghost. You have to be careful for a little bit longer. I'm going to run straight through the middle of the map here, since we have the hunting trophy, so I want to get crits. Any chance I kill that loot alien? Sadly, no. I'm going to recycle the cog here, and then I'm going to roll for dodge. Armor would be great as well, but getting to dodge cap is one of the things that will help us the most at this point. We'll take 4 regen. We will keep upgrading our pruners. We'll buy wings. I have 3 engineering, and pruner does need more base damage, so I will take the nail here. We're not going to buy a lot of engineering in addition to that, but it is still helpful. I'll take a spyglass at this point. It will give us a reasonable amount of extra money. We'll buy Ratzilla, and then we'll roll here. I will take the Lucky Charm and the Metal Plate, and then I'll upgrade my Pruner. I'm not going to spend 2 dodge on a regen from the Toxic Sludge. So at this point, we're tanky enough that most of the enemies don't worry me, but these enhanced vampire squids are still scary, and the enhanced mini-bosses that are coming up are obviously still really dangerous as well. So that's part of why we invested in the pets in this run, is our weapon set is sort of necessarily low damage, because the whole thing about Pruner is that it trades being a low damage weapon for giving you healing and economy. So we want to trade some of that economy back in order to help fix our damage output by buying basically some additional weapons in the form of the bonk dogs. We'll take a bag here. We'll take some attack speed. I'm gonna upgrade my Pruner. Do I want to trade 1 max HP and 100 materials for 1 regen? I guess not. And Chameleon is a really expensive way to build dodge, so we're going to pass on that. I'll take a Pruner. Decomposing Flesh, I probably won't level enough to make this worth buying in the next few waves. I'm going to buy another level 1 pruner upgrade. Okay, we got a cursed one. That's great. We're very happy with that. I'll take fishhook. I'll take snail. I don't currently have a way to set things on fire, so I'm just going to pass on the Greek fire. Obviously, there are items that we could get that would make the Greek fire reasonable, but I don't want to just rely on those. And even if it does show up, honestly, Greek fire, even when you activate the combo, isn't that exciting. I'll take the Cursed Cyberball. It probably won't do that much, but it will increase our curse, which we want to try to increase the power of our items. And then we'll pick up a pruner here, and we'll go to wave 17. I will say I don't think we've gotten any armor from the candy bag yet. Maybe like 1 point that I didn't notice. A reasonable amount of regeneration, though. At this point, because we've built up enough damage and we have a ton of healing, we were easily able to clear the elite quickly at the beginning of the wave. And even though we took 10 hits to do it, and now the Triangle of Power is no longer giving us extra damage output, again, the Triangle of Power made it much easier to kill the elite there, because we had extra damage at the start of the wave. One thing that I think is an easy mental trap to fall into, in gaming in general, is assuming that everything is infinitely long. People will kind of implicitly make the assumption that you need to scale every item out to what if this wave went for 5 days. And yes, if the wave lasted for 5 days, Triangle of Power would be bad to buy because you would usually end up losing a lot of damage out of it. But when the wave lasts for 60 seconds, as it does in the actual game, if you're getting more damage, even for just 20 of those seconds to stay ahead, and then breaking even for like 20 more seconds, you know, on average, and then behind in the last 20 seconds, trading power later for power now is usually good. So it's worth bearing in mind that you don't have to think of buying stuff as an investment in the ultimately distant future. The question is whether it helps during the actual amount of time that you care about. I'm going to pass on both of these items. We just don't need the stats they give us. We'll buy Pruner, we'll buy Bat and Blood Leech. I'll take the small fish. We get a free reroll out of it. We can no longer buy the level 1 Pruner profitably. Baby with a Beard actually will help with our lifesteal, and it gives me 8 curse, so I'm going to pick it up. I don't care about losing the range at all. Hunting Trophy, I don't think is going to pay off reasonably before the end of the run. We will take the Charcoal here, because it's 2 melee damage and a regen. Black Flag, we have a lot of lifesteal, so I think having extra enemies on the field is actually going to be good for us in terms of our survivability. Hey, we got an armor there. Just had to complain about it. A lot of cursed enemies out here, of course, and those can still be pretty dangerous. But what I really just need is a few more points in armor, and we'd like to get to dodge cap. And then we're basically invincible no matter how many high damage cursed enemies spawn. Because remember, not only do we have the high regeneration and lifesteal and everything that we have from Fairy, we also just have massive amounts of free healing on the ground at all times. And so we're constantly getting tons of extra regen on this character. Sure, we'll take the Cursed Schmoop, and then here I'm again going to roll for dodge. Because that will get me to our 70 dodge cap. And it is worth spending a lot of money looking for the dodge here, though we're getting pretty unlucky. I guess I'll just take 4 armor, because that also matters, and then I'll take to regen. We'll just try to stay full health. We'll buy these items. We'll roll. We will buy this entire shop. That's an amazing shop for us. We'll level our pruner. I don't want to reduce my dodge, so we're not buying alloy. We'll roll here. Fruit basket, of course, is great for this character, especially if you get it earlier, but it's still a nice healing item. I'll take the garden over it, though, and we'll buy the propeller hat and injection as well. Go to wave 19. No armor that wave. I don't think we've gotten an extra elite spawn from the candy bag, unless I just didn't notice, which is always possible when you're this strong, that you just forget which waves are elites. That's something that I sort of stopped paying attention to once the build is online, and just focus more on making sure that I'm having good movement and buying the right items. Now, I don't necessarily suggest that. That's just out of laziness, but that does happen. As you can see, we're extremely hard to take down at this point. Obviously, this is a lot of high damage, cursed enemies, but we're pretty much just running directly at them and staying full health the entire time, so we're pretty happy there. And we made 1,700 materials in wave 19. We'll take the silver bullet, we'll roll again. 9 dodge, gets me to dodge cap, so that's great. I'll take 4 melee damage to kill the bosses a little faster. Cursed Alien Eyes can actually speed up our kill on the bosses as well. I don't need more harvesting at this point. Anvil won't do anything, unfortunately. I will take the Cursed Wings. That actually gets us positive range, which not completely irrelevant this wave. I'll take the Beanie as well, because it's worth a regen, and then Penguin. This is an item that we really would have loved to get earlier, but Cursed Penguin is still going to make us significantly harder to kill. I'll take 2 armor here, and now we're over dodge cap. We're not going to buy the weird ghost. We could, but it wouldn't do anything. Axolotl, aw man, if only I'd been able to do that earlier, getting the axolotl for 1100 engineering. That would have been so sick. We could have ended up with a really crazy engineering build. I'll take the Terrified Onion, more regen, and then we'll roll, and I guess I'll just buy Feather for more regeneration as well, and go to wave 20 here. Gonna run at the bosses, and we should be able to take them down very, very quickly. Focusing on the one that's lower health, of course. Picking up the red consumable there, and then we have 4 seconds of pretty much complete invincibility because of Jerky, and that lets us just run straight at the other boss. Obviously, we weren't in any danger without it, but that's a useful strategy when you have Jerky, is to remember that gives you 25 healing per second for 4 seconds, which enemies can't do enough damage quickly enough to get through that most of the time. All right, so that was the farmer. Very, very powerful character once it gets online. The trick is getting to that point. But basically, you just want to prioritize getting a lot of harvesting early, and then quickly transition into building damage and defenses with your massive economy. You don't need to end the game with 9,000 harvesting when you're playing the farmer. I think that's something that people get too wrapped up in. You just need enough that you're making more money than other characters to make up for the fact that you're using a weaker weapon. And that's actually pretty easy to do. And then you can just turn that into damage and armor and win pretty easily. Looking at our items here, 50k damage from the rats. But the Bonk Dogs dealt 170k. So these actually I really liked. I wasn't sure when we bought the pets, but I felt like the pets were actually very good in this run. They would have been a little worse on Crash Zone, it's worth noting, because they can create little goobers and they won't necessarily chase them down. But on the Abyss, I think the melee summons are all upside for this character. We had 73 healing from Adrenaline. We had 72 extra health from the extra stomach, letting us get to 173. 360 materials from Triple Bag. 64 stats from Candy Bag. And obviously we'll I don't think we got that much armor, but we got a lot of dodge, we got a lot of regen, we got a lot of percent damage, so obviously we're very happy with that. What else? The hunting trophy was worth 340, so that worked out reasonably well. The spyglass saved us a lot of money because we bought it right when we had the most money to reroll and when rerolls were most expensive. So spyglass was actually very good. Our fishhook with the 25% pity bonus did nothing, I think. Yeah, did fishhook actually curse anything? Somebody let me know. I think it didn't, which is really funny. Loot worm didn't do much because, of course, we're dropping fewer materials, but it's worth picking up the loot worm anyways. And 20k damage from Cyberball, not bad given how late we got it. 2,000 from Baby with a Beard, 219 materials from Black Flag, and 6k damage from the Alien Eyes. I didn't obviously have to play around using these that much in the boss wave, but they were basically like an extra weapon since we only had them for the boss wave, so not bad. Alright, my friends, I hope that you've enjoyed this run, and of course, if you have, then feel free to leave a comment and hit like. Helps me out with the algorithm, so I appreciate you taking the time to do that. And of course, you can subscribe to my channel for more Brotato and other strategy game analysis. Cheers, folks. I'll catch you next time.